What's up, everybody? It's your boy Wes back at you with another video. And today is the day. It's finally here. We got the undisputed welterweight championship fight of the world between Errol the Truth Spence Jr. versus Terrence Bud Crawford. This fight is 4, maybe 5 years in the making. These two have been calling each other out for years. The fans have been asking for this fight for years. And tonight, we finally going to get it, man. We are finally going to get the fight we've been asking for, we've been looking for. And, it's time to enjoy the show and watch it. But, as everybody's been, giving their predictions and final says on how they think the fight is going to go, I had to come on here and give mine because people have been asking me for the past months what I think is going to happen. And, yeah. So, first off, let's break down the fight a little bit just because, both fighters are really great, very skilled. So, it's a really tough fight to call. On paper, it's a true 50-50 fight. Whatever happens in the ring, that's another story between those two fighters. But ultimately, both are definitely the best that the other opponent has ever faced. Both have pretty much admitted that. Well, both believe that they're facing their toughest test. And, well, at least, I think Spence has said he's facing his toughest test. Crawford has kind of alluded, he's got to see when he get there. But both are preparing as though this is the biggest fight of their life for sure, because it is. Now, this is one of those bouts that, could go, many different ways. Both guys have superior boxing ability. Spence, I believe, has, great fundamentals. I think he's a little bit more defensively responsible when it comes to the defense end. I think he's a more durable fighter. I think he can take more punishment than Crawford. Crawford, on the other hand, though, I think he has a lot more skills in his tool bag as far as what type of punches and combinations he can put together. He doesn't, have the basics that Errol Spence does, but he has a lot of creative ways of getting his opponents out of there. And he's, very keen at hitting people with punches that they don't see coming. And, so many boxers that have faced him have alluded to that, and it's just common knowledge. Talently, athletically, Crawford, I would give him the edge for sure. Now, as far as this fight, whether it's going to be a finish or decision, both of these guys have been in some tough battles against like opponents where they've stopped the guys, they finished the guys. But, that's not really a telltale on how this fight's going to go. Strength of competition is definitely important. Being battle-tested definitely is a big factor in, who's prepared for the big moments. But what it ultimately comes down to is the style. And the style that these guys both possess when mixing in with each other, in my opinion, I feel that it spells a recipe for a knockout on both ends, either end. And I'm going to be real serious right now. And I don't want to sound blasphemous. I'm not saying that this is to the level of, the fight that I'm going to talk about. But, a lot of people can see this being a 12-round war. I don't see it being like that at all. With the way both of these guys fight, with Errol Spence being the pressure fighter that he is and coming out the gate, pushing the jab and trying to throw a lot of good punches immediately. Yeah, I just don't see it being a 12-round war at all with the way they both match up with each other and the way they both fight. Errol Spence, he comes right out the gate, pumping his jab, throwing a lot of punches and trying to get in your face. I don't think people, really, they talk about Errol Spence's volume and how crazy it is, but, just to put it in perspective, Errol Spence literally throws 70 punches per round. So, Crawford is going to be, in the deep waters off the rip. And, when it comes to Terrence Crawford, the more he gets hit, if he feels threatened, he gets hurt, he gets even meaner as the fight goes. So, and he's going to get hurt in there for sure. Like, coming out, whether it's starts in like the third or fourth round, he's definitely going to start feeling some heavy shots, punches, whether it's Errol Spence's vicious body attack, his jab, trying to close up Crawford's eye, all that type of stuff. Crawford is going to get hurt, and his response is going to be vicious and explosive. I think as far as the snapping one-punch power, Terrence Crawford has the edge on that. Errol Spence may hit harder cumulatively though, and I think as the fight goes deeper into the rounds, it would get worse for Crawford and start to wear on him. Errol Spence is also the bigger guy, so but imposing his will is going to be kind of hard because Terrence Crawford is really strong. He's got a wrestling background that's very elite as far as amateur wrestling goes. So it's not going to be easy to just roughhouse him and toss him around. It's going to be two strong guys in there, locking horns in the clinch. And ultimately, like I said, I really do see it being a stoppage. The way I see Crawford winning, I could see Errol Spence, pretty much, maybe lunging in a little bit too much, getting a little bit overzealous after hurting Crawford with some punches. Crawford using his movement, his athleticism, and catching Errol Spence with a mean, whether it's a hook, whether it's a straight, punch. Crawford has some pretty creative punches to the point where, you can't even name what it is. Like the shot he hit Kell Brook with, I'm not even sure what type of punch that really was. It was kind of like a hook jab. And, it's pretty crazy. Errol Spence most likely won't have the southpaw advantage either because Crawford, he's a switch stance fighter. And he actually fights pretty much better out of southpaw than he does orthodox. So I see him switching to southpaw early on and it being the southpaw battle throughout the fight. Ultimately, like I said, if Crawford wins, I think it will be early on, like maybe rounds, as far as early from rounds 3 to like 6, I could see Crawford catching Errol Spence with something very mean as far as his win condition, as far as his path to victory, with Errol Spence maybe lunging in on the shot, Crawford hurting him. Whether it's a one-punch KO, I don't necessarily think it'll be a one-punch KO, but I can see Errol Spence getting hurt, maybe getting dropped, and getting back up. And Crawford, he's one of the best finishers in the game, and I can see him finishing Errol Spence that way. Another way I can see Crawford catching Errol, his past 2 fights, we've seen Errol Spence with a lack of, focus in some moments, especially in regards to his mouthpiece falling out and, him looking for it. Danny Garcia caught him with a mean punch after that. Dennis Ugas caught him with a heavy shot after that. But what is very interesting is it seems Errol Spence has finally, fixed that problem and got his mouthpiece fitted to the point where, hopefully that won't be an issue where it just slips out randomly. And another thing regarding both of those situations, you could also look at that as a good sign for Errol Spence because he took shots from Dennis Ugas, who's not really known for his KO power, but, a strong fighter nonetheless. And Danny Garcia, who's definitely known for, a lot of people say he's the hardest hitter in the welterweight division. And I can believe that. Sean Porter said it. Keith Thurman has said it. Both of those guys have also, well, not both. Sean Porter's also fought Terrence Crawford. And, I didn't really hear him say that Terrence Crawford hits harder than Danny Garcia. I believe that would have came up in conversation in one of his interviews if that was the case. But nonetheless, Terrence Crawford does hit hard. But Errol Spence took both of those shots almost like they were nothing and came right back at his opponent and began to batter them for the rest of the fight. So another thing on Errol Spence's end, I see it to a point where, like, if Crawford isn't able to, really hurt Errol Spence, which, don't get me wrong, I don't see Crawford's punches like, just being ineffective. But if it's to the point where Errol feels he can take the shots well and he's defensively responsible, keeps his guard up, and, gets inside Terrence Crawford and, pressures him very well, I can see him begin to break Terrence Crawford down. I don't see Errol Spence hitting Crawford with one shot that just drops him and puts him down, even though Crawford has shown, being susceptible to getting, wobbly legs or Bambi legs, as some people call them, against guys. We saw him get dropped, by Algasca's Mean Machine, even though a lot of people, even though officially it wasn't a knockdown, but, if you clearly watch that fight, you can clearly see that it definitely should have been counted as a knockdown. Crawford's been hurt by guys like Gamboa and, and Crawford's defense, as far as, people look at his style, think he's more of like a slick Mayweather type. He's really mainly only slick like that on the offensive end. Defensively, Crawford leaves his chin out high a lot. He's not the most defensively responsible fighter, and I don't think he's more durable than Errol Spence. So I can definitely see Errol Spence catching him. But to Crawford's credit, when Crawford does get hurt, like I said, he gets meaner. And each one of those times he's been hurt, either that same round or the next round, usually he knocks the guy out. So that is also a food for thought. Both guys have shown, when they've been hit with, their toughest shots in their respective battles, they usually respond insanely well. So, like I said, guys, this is going to be a barn burner. And I think it's going to resemble more of a Hagler-Hearns type fight where both guys are trading. And it's going to come down to who makes the bigger mistake. Like I said, I'm not going to be blasphemous and say it will be as good as that. Nothing can top that fight, obviously, as far as a war goes. But we're definitely in for a classic, no doubt. And yeah, man, I just see it going, to the point where someone gets dropped and finished. I think it's going to be a war. I think it could end as early as rounds, 4 or 5. But if I was to lean towards how I think it's going to go, I think it's going to end towards around like 9, 8 to 10. 8 to 10 is the range I would put it in. And I would say if it ends early, it's more than likely going to be a Terrence Crawford win, in my opinion. If it ends late, I think it's more than likely going to be an Errol Spence TKO-esque win. So with all of this being said, with all of, going over each fighter's strengths and how they respond to adversity, ultimately, my final prediction is I have Errol Spence Jr. winning by TKO in about, I'll say the 10th round. I think he's going to end up breaking Crawford down as the fight goes on. I think he's going to be durable enough to take Crawford's shots. I think he'll, be more defensively responsible than he's ever been. This is the biggest fight of his life. He's been in a ton of big championship fights against top competition. I just feel overall he's more battle tested. And I think overall he's the more, I would say more skilled boxer as far as just being responsible and the fundamentals goes. I don't think he has more in his toolbox. But I think it's kind of like a Tim Duncan, Kyrie Irving type of thing. Like, Kyrie Irving, he definitely has more flashier moves, can score in different ways. But I don't think he's more skilled than Duncan as far as, the way Tim Duncan plays the game and is effective on the court. So, yeah, man, I got Errol Spence winning by TKO, like I said, and maybe in like the 10th or 9th round. I think he's going to break him down. I think we're in for a great, tremendous show. Like I said, the fight can go either way. This is my prediction, but it's a nervous one for sure. I don't know how the fight's gonna end up being, but I got Errol Spence winning. But overall, man, I just hope both fighters can leave in good health and hopefully continue their careers, beyond this and put on some more classic fights. I appreciate both of them for coming together and making this happen. Make sure you guys, order the fight so you don't miss it, or go out to, a restaurant or something so you can see it. It's going to be a big, huge night. And ultimately, may the best man win. If you guys enjoyed the video, if it's your first time coming through here on the channel, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, comment below. Let me know how you think the fight's going to go, because I'm very curious to see what other people think about this fight. There's so many different opinions. You got the Bud camp, you got the Errol Spence Jr. camp. So, it's been real heated these past 4 years. People have been arguing about it for years. So, what's a couple more hours, to go ahead and debate in the comment section. But yeah, man, like I said, leave a subscribe if you want to continue watching more videos of mine on sports, boxing, football, whatever. And yeah, man, I'm out. Let's enjoy the fight tonight. Peace.